not only would you say that the left is completely wrong, you've also been critical of Rand Paul, you've been critical of libertarianism. Earlier today you called it a fad, libertarianism. Why do you say that?
Well, because I think it's foundationally flawed in its thinking. I'm not talking about, there are some libertarian conservatives who are sort of a blend between the two. I'm talking about sort of strict libertarianism. Yeah. I think libertarianism is based on some flawed ideas. One is the idea that society is based upon the individual, and that's what America is. It's all about rugged individualism. That's not what America is about. I mean, the basic unit of society is the family, not the individual. Building a society on radical individuals is like building a house on sand. I mean, it just doesn't hold together. You have to have a foundation upon which to build things on, and the family is that foundation from which all individuals come from. And so it is the basic building block of society, and so that's why I look at policy through the eyes of how does it affect the family as that first business, as that first economy, as that first hospital, as that first school. That's what the family is. And so we have to make sure that that's as solid as possible, because that's, again, foundational to society. Secondly, it's a flawed understanding of the nature of man. The idea that that we have this radical idea of individualism, that people should go out and do whatever they want to do, and if we just get government out of everybody's lives and people can do whatever they want to do, everything will be fine. Now, most of you are students, and I assume most of you then don't have children yet. But if you had children, and you have younger brothers and sisters, and you've seen them, I think you can probably gather rather quickly that children are not born good, that we are all fallen, we all have faults, and that the idea that if men and women left to their own design, everything will be great, is a very flawed view of humanity. That we need laws, we need mediating institutions, the family, churches, community organizations, schools, to shape and mold people to do the moral and right and ethical thing. And part of that is laws that teach as well as prescribe and govern. So I think there's, again, a flawed view of the nature of man and how societies function. And finally, I think it's a flawed view of freedom. The idea that freedom is simply to do whatever you want to do is, I wrote a lot about this in the first book I wrote called It Takes a Family. I refer to it as freedom from. And it's a freedom from government or some outside force telling you that you can't do things. And that's a very important part of freedom, and I think it is an essential element of freedom in America that we need to be free from. But it's not just freedom from that is liberty is properly understood in America, it's freedom for. So it's not do whatever you want to do, it's do what the whole idea of freedom is, that you're not forced to do things that are wrong. That you're not forced to do things that you believe are immoral or wrong, but you are free to do what is right. That's really what freedom is. It's an orientation to doing what you ought to do, what is true, what is right to do. And the idea that choice is the highest, that's it. It doesn't matter what you choose, but simply choice is the thing we need to care about, I think is a very perverted view of American freedom.